The horrors of dating. As the city lights blurred into a mosaic of color behind her, Emily took a deep breath. 7 years of companionship and commitment had unraveled, leaving her adrift in a sea of loneliness. Determined to move on, she downloaded a dating app, hoping to find a connection to fill the void. Little did she know that the match she found would lead her down a path of terror. Among the profiles, one man stood out. Handsome, charming, and seemingly perfect, Alex swept her off her feet from their very first conversation. Their first date was nothing short of magical, a candlelit dinner in an exclusive restaurant, followed by a moonlit stroll along the river. Emily felt a spark, a glimmer of hope that life after her long-term relationship could be beautiful. As their romance blossomed, Emily and Alex became inseparable. He was the balm to her wounded heart, a reassuring presence that mended the fractures of her past. Yet as the moon waxed and waned, Emily noticed peculiarities in Alex's behavior. On nights with a full moon, he would vanish without explanation, leaving her messages unanswered. His apartment, once a haven of warmth, began to feel cold and unsettling. Suspicions grew when Emily discovered tufts of coarse animal hair scattered throughout Alex's living space. She questioned him, but he dismissed it as remnants of a previous tenant's pet. Still, a gnawing unease lingered. One evening, as the full moon bathed the city in its eerie glow, Emily decided she had endured enough of Alex's mysterious disappearances. Determined to confront him, she mustered the courage to visit his apartment unannounced. The building stood in ominous silence as Emily knocked on the door, her heart pounding in sync with the distant howls of the night. "Alex, open up," she pleaded, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and frustration. The door creaked open, revealing the dimly lit interior. Emily entered cautiously, scanning the room for any signs of the enigma that haunted her relationship. The air was thick with tension as she called out for Alex. A low, guttural growl echoed through the apartment, chilling her to the core. Panic surged as Emily turned toward the source, and her eyes widened in horror. Standing before her was a creature of nightmares. Alex, transformed into a hulking werewolf, eyes ablaze with primal hunger. Paralyzed by terror, Emily's scream was silenced by the beast that now wore the face of her once charming lover. With a menacing snarl, the werewolf lunged forward, teeth bared. The room filled with a symphony of bone-chilling growls and the desperate gasps of a woman confronted by the monstrous reality she had dared to unveil. The moon cast its glow upon the gruesome tableau, a werewolf devouring the woman who had dared to seek answers. The night swallowed Emily's cries, leaving only the haunting howls of the creature that wore Alex's guise. As the apartment descended into silence, the city remained oblivious to the horrifying secret that lurked within its midst, a tale of love twisted into a macabre dance between the human and the beast. Night at the lab. The sterile hum of fluorescent lights cast an unnatural glow over the cold, sterile corridors of the research lab. John, a young biologist fresh out of graduate school, had landed a dream job, or so he thought. Little did he know that the nightmares he was about to face would make him question the very fabric of morality. His boss, Dr. Williams, a stern and calculating figure, summoned John to his office. Behind a polished mahogany desk, Dr. Williams revealed the true nature of the top-secret project that would redefine John's understanding of science and ethics. "Project Lupus," Dr. Williams began, his eyes penetrating John's with an intensity that sent shivers down his spine. "We're tasked with creating a hybrid between man and wolf, a super soldier for the military. You, John, are the key researcher on this groundbreaking endeavor." A chill gripped John's heart as the weight of the project settled upon him. He hesitated, the ethical implications swirling in his mind like a tempest. Yet bound by a legally binding contract, he reluctantly accepted his role in the creation of a monstrous fusion of human and wolf DNA. Days turned into nights as John worked tirelessly in the lab, guided by the haunting specter of the task at hand. The ethically murky waters he waded through corroded his sense of right and wrong. He questioned the morality of playing God, but fear of the legal consequences kept him tethered to the project. In the dead of night, with only the hum of machinery as his companion, John took clandestine measures to sabotage the experiment. He sneaked into the high-security vault containing the hybrid DNA, vowing to put an end to the abomination that he was helping create. As he fumbled with vials and test tubes, a sudden misstep led to a piercing jab in his hand. Panic set in as he realized that the hybrid DNA, a concoction of human and wolf genes, now coursed through his veins. The consequences of his clandestine actions became a nightmarish reality. The transformation was gradual yet inexorable. John's body convulsed with agonizing pain as his bones cracked and reshaped. Fur sprouted from his skin, and his senses heightened to an otherworldly level. Desperation clawed at him as he realized the irreversible metamorphosis taking place. On the night of the full moon, the lab echoed with eerie silence. Colleagues oblivious to John's clandestine efforts carried on their work, unaware of the terror that lurked among them. John, now a monstrous fusion of man and beast, embraced the insatiable hunger that gripped him. His first victims, unsuspecting colleagues drawn to the lab by the allure of late-night experiments, fell prey to the creature that had once been John. The air filled with the wet sounds of tearing flesh and desperate cries that echoed through the cold, sterile corridors. Dr. Williams, alerted by the commotion, rushed to the scene only to be met by the nightmarish sight of his former protege. The beast, now fully transformed, turned its predatory gaze toward its former mentor. The cold light of the lab equipment reflected in the creature's savage eyes as it lunged forward. The lab, once a haven of scientific inquiry, now bore witness to a grotesque dance of horror. John, a tragic victim of his own creation, devoured his colleagues one by one, leaving behind a trail of blood and terror. The project that had promised military might had birthed a monster that knew no bounds. As the moon cast its glow over the gruesome tableau, the lab remained tainted by the unholy experiment gone awry, a testament to the perilous dance between hubris and horror, and the price paid for tampering with the very essence of life. The last massage. The massage parlor, a haven of tranquility during the day, found itself draped in the dim twilight of dusk. Vanessa, a tired masseuse, wearily accepted a final client for the evening. The door creaked open, revealing a gruff, middle-aged man whose unfriendly demeanor sent an uneasy shiver down Vanessa's spine. He offered nothing more than a curt nod, his responses reduced to primal grunts. As Vanessa began the massage, her skilled hands moved across the man's back, tracing the contours of his muscles beneath a dense layer of unruly hair. His reserved nature didn't escape her notice, but she pressed on, determined to fulfill her duties and bring the day to a close. As the minutes ticked by, the sun dipped below the horizon, and the parlor's windows transformed into inky canvases. The ambient glow of street lamps began to compete with the fading daylight, casting shadows that danced upon the walls. It was in this dimming light that Vanessa noticed an unsettling change in her client. A low, guttural growl escaped the man's throat, startling Vanessa. The room seemed to close in around her as she observed the impossible. Her client's body convulsed with unnatural spasms. Vanessa recoiled as she witnessed the man's grotesque transformation, the realization dawning upon her that she was in the presence of a creature of myth. The gruff man grew larger with each passing moment, his limbs elongating, bones cracking into new shapes. His once human form was swallowed by a grotesque metamorphosis. Fur sprouted across his body as the moon's silvery glow filtered through the window, casting an eerie light on the unfolding horror. Vanessa, her heart pounding in her chest, stumbled backward, her mind grappling with the impossible truth. A werewolf stood before her. Panic seized her as she bolted into the hallway, desperate to escape the nightmare that had shattered the tranquility of the massage parlor. The werewolf, now fully transformed, moved with an unnatural swiftness, appearing in the hallway before her like a phantom. Vanessa's scream echoed through the empty corridor as she sprinted towards the exit, her sole focus fixated on escape. The door seemed an insurmountable distance away as terror clawed at her. With a heart-stopping realization, Vanessa understood the monstrous creature that blocked her path, a werewolf driven by a primal hunger. She veered to the side, her body ducking under the werewolf's paw, and she stumbled into the deserted street outside. Desperation gripped Vanessa as she screamed for help, her voice reverberating through the desolate night. But the city, once alive with the hum of activity, lay eerily silent. The werewolf, its laughter echoing like a sinister melody, closed in with calculated steps, its eyes gleaming with predatory anticipation. Vanessa's pleas for help faded into the void as the werewolf advanced. The deserted street became a stage for an unspeakable horror, where the once peaceful masseuse was pursued by a creature of nightmares. The air hung heavy with the weight of dread as Vanessa's frantic footsteps echoed through the empty city, the chilling laughter of the werewolf haunting her every move. In the dim light of the moon, she raced against the encroaching horror that had shattered the calm of the massage parlor, now a grotesque theater for a nightmarish chase.